From the outside, our family looked perfect. 2 beautiful kids, a rich dad, and a loving mom. But that was just a facade. In reality, my dad was a cruel jerk who forced me to wear makeup because according to him, I looked ugly otherwise. I think he enjoyed treating me like garbage because it made him feel powerful and important. To make things worse, he saw my brother as some kind of perfect angel who couldn't do anything wrong. That's why they often teamed up on me. One time my brother came home with an F on his physics exam and blamed me for it. He said, "My sister was listening to loud music, so I couldn't concentrate and study." I responded, "That's not true at all. You are just making up excuses for being a lazy bum." But my dad took his side and punished me by making me clean my brother's room. Ugh, it was so humiliating. While I picked up his toys from the ground and put them into boxes, he threw other toys onto the ground and said, "Pick it up, sis." The worst part was how helpless I felt because no one came to my defense. I was just a kid after all. I think my mom knew how badly I was treated, but after years of living with my dad, she was too scared to stand up to my dad. One time, I even talked to her in private and said, "Mom, you need to leave Dad. He's a bad person and making you miserable." But my mom started crying and said, "Stop it, you don't understand this." I guess she couldn't admit to herself that she had wasted years of her life being married to an evil jerk. I mean, one day my dad even got arrested. It turned out that he had been dating a chick on the side, but not because he loved her, but because he used her credit card to start his own business. My dad got that poor woman $30,000 in debt without her knowing anything about it. But once she found out, she sued him, and not only did my dad have to pay the money back, he also had to serve a 6-month prison sentence. Those were the best 6 months of my life. Suddenly, it was quiet and peaceful at my home. But when my dad came back, the problem started all over again. On his first day, he accused me of being a bad daughter because I hadn't welcomed him back home. So I screamed, "At least I'm not stealing $30,000 from other people. At least I'm not treating my daughter and wife like garbage." Then I pointed my finger at him and said, "You are a criminal. You exploit other people and don't care if you hurt them. You are absolutely disgusting and I wish you dropped dead." I wasn't sure how he would react, but then my brother said, "Sister, why don't you tell Dad about your boyfriend?" I froze. How did my brother know I was in a relationship? Well, that's what my dad had waited for. He started screaming and calling me a whore, saying I had brought shame onto our family for losing my V-card at such a young age. I responded, "Yes, I have a boyfriend, but we haven't even kissed each other, so relax." But my dad didn't care and screamed, "Once you're 18, I'm gonna throw you out of this house and onto the streets. I'm ashamed to have you as my daughter." Well, my 18th birthday was still 2 years away, so my dad had plenty of time to make my life hell. He even put a lock on my door, so I had to send him a WhatsApp message if I needed to go to the bathroom. But I knew the way he treated me wasn't right, so I gathered evidence on my smartphone by recording how he terrorized me. Then, after school, I went to the police and showed them video footage of how I was treated. When they saw that I wasn't allowed to go to the toilet without my dad's permission, they decided to take my dad into custody. And when he got trialed the next week, the judge called him a monster and sentenced him to 8 months in prison. It felt so good to finally get revenge on my dad. But my mom wasn't happy at all. She said, "How shall we survive without your dad's income?" I responded, "It's not my fault that you married a jerk. Now you have to live with the consequences because I'd rather be poor than live with him for one more day." But we never became poor because my mom broke up with my dad after she found a new boyfriend who treated her with more respect. But it was too late, because my brother had already become just like my dad. One time I came home while he was making out with his girlfriend on the kitchen table. The girl was half naked and said, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." She tried to stand up, but my brother said, "I don't want to stop." And then he continued kissing her. I said, "That's not how you treat a girl. If she wants to stop, you have to let her go." That's when my brother stood up and came over to me. He pushed me against the wall and said, "You don't tell me what to do. Better be careful before I'll slap that arrogance out of your face." That's when his girlfriend pushed him from behind and said, "Let her go. She didn't do anything." My brother got seriously angry, turned around and screamed, "Shut up." Then he pushed her back more and more. I really thought he was going to hurt her, so I jumped on his back and screamed, "Leave her alone!" But he just took my hand and twisted it so hard that I started screaming out of pain. He said, "You cry like a little girl." And that's when I had enough and bit right into his neck. What happened next is too graphic and violent to show on YouTube, but my brother had to go to the hospital because I had bitten through some important vein, and he almost died of blood loss. The next day, I moved out. I had enough of men like my brother and dad. I swore to myself I would never date a guy again. They were all the same anyway. Instead, I went to college and tried to focus on my studies. But as luck had it, my professor gave me a boy as a project partner. His name was David. He was so full of himself. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna lead this project and you will follow my orders." I wanted to tell him to F off, but he was so confident and smart that I only responded, "Okay." However, he was never satisfied with my work, and he even called me a lazy turtle. But I liked it. The angrier he got at me, the more I wanted to rip his shirt off and kiss him. Gosh, I'd never been so attracted to a guy, so I always dressed up when we met. I said, "So, do you have any plans for the weekend?" while fluttering my eyes at him. He responded, "I'm sorry, I already have a girlfriend and I will take her out on a date." I blushed and felt like such an idiot. When I got home, I immediately found out who his girlfriend was. She had many photos of her and David on Instagram, and they were such a cute couple. I should have felt happy for them, but I was so in love with David that my heart was aching. But one time, his girlfriend came by to give David a folder. And when she saw me wearing a short summer dress and lots of makeup, she immediately knew what I was up to. She said, "So, you are my boyfriend's project partner?" I responded, "Yeah, I am." She leaned over the table and said, "Do you always dress like this?" I blushed, but didn't respond. Then David said, "Don't worry, she always dresses like a hoe." I knew he only wanted to ease the tension, but his girlfriend got angry and said, "Stop defending her. Don't you see that she's trying to seduce you?" David responded, "I know what she's trying to do, but I already told her I'm not interested in dating her because I have a girlfriend." Now I blushed even heavier. This was so embarrassing. His girlfriend said to me, "You tried to seduce my boyfriend even though you know he's in a relationship with me? Shame on you. And David, from now on, you won't meet up with her again." He responded, "I'm sorry, but she is my project partner, so I can't stop working with her." Suddenly she screamed, "If you don't get away from that whore right now, it's over between us." He looked at her and said, "Fine, it's over." I could see how much his ex-girlfriend was hurt, but she didn't respond and just walked away. David said, "I'm sorry, she's always like that." I said, "No, I'm sorry. I'm such a horrible person." Then he looked me in the eyes and said, "Let's stop studying for today and watch a movie at my place instead." Oh my God, I knew I should have said no, but I couldn't resist. I just loved him too much. When we sat down on his couch, he put his arm around me. I'd never had a guy I was attracted to touch me like that. I cuddled myself against his chest and he said, "Oh, my cute little turtle." I think we were about to kiss each other when his smartphone rang. He took it out and said, "It's my ex." He picked up and I heard her say, "I'm sorry about what happened today. Of course I don't want to break up with you. I just had a bad day. I hope you can forgive me." But David responded, "No, it's over between us. I'm sick of your endless drama." And then he hung up. Meanwhile, I felt incredibly guilty because I was part of the reason they had split up. That's why I told David, "It's better for me to go home now." Of course he wanted me to stay, but I left anyway. But when I had reached the door of his building, I saw his ex-girlfriend sitting outside on the stairs crying. I didn't want her to see me, so I went back into David's apartment and spent the night there. It was the first time I slept in a bed with a guy. David tried kissing me, but I told him no. However, the next morning, I woke up with David's arms around me and it felt so good. I turned around and when he woke up, he said, "There's my little turtle." And then he gave me a kiss. And yes, we are in a relationship now.
It was such a beautiful weekend, but instead of being out having fun, I was stuck at home. For what, you ask? To teach Excel to a girl who doesn't even know how to use Shift key shortcuts. What is the matter with you? I've explained the code 20 times to you already. I'm sorry. Let's face it, you suck at this. Try to beat me in your dream. If I had to waste one more second sitting next to her, I'd go crazy. Look how fake you are. If you're mad, then just show me. Why do you always have to be Miss Friendly? Let me introduce you. That's Laura, my so-called sister. 2 months ago, My mom brought her home and announced, "Jeff, I have something to tell you. Back when we broke up for a while, due to your parents' hatred towards me, well, during that time, I found out I was pregnant. I gave birth to our little girl, Laura. I was only 22 and I had no money, so as much as it pained me to do so, I gave her away. I've never stopped thinking about her, and now, well, I've managed to find her." She dabbed at her teary eyes, then handed Dad the DNA test results. Dad was overwhelmed and ran over to hug Laura. They all cried a lot and hugged a lot. As for me, I just stood there in shocked silence as I watched this family reunion take place. It all happened so fast. How was I supposed to believe that it was just a coincidence when Mom suddenly found her long-lost child after so many years? "What now, Skylar? Stop being so headstrong." Mom scolded me, then rushed over to Laura and started cuddling her and soothingly stroking her hair. "It's not my fault she has the learning capacity of a slug. Stop interfering, else I'll quit teaching her. By the way, those loving mother-daughter things also? Cut it off! It's ridiculous!" I know what you're thinking. What's with the attitude towards my mom? The thing is, she's not even my real mom. A few months ago, something crazy happened to me. A strange woman showed up out of nowhere and claimed she was my mom. Say what now? Of course, I told her she'd got the wrong person. But when I saw the selling contract between my mom and her, I froze in shock. Turns out, my mom miscarried a child, but she was too afraid she'd lose her place in the family, so she bought me from this woman. So, I was adopted. It's common, right? But still, I don't deserve to be treated like that. I had always been neglected since I was little. Mom never hugged or kissed me. She didn't read me bedtime stories or tuck me into bed at night. All she ever did was snarl at me. "Go away!" I guess I convinced myself that this was just how Mom was. But then Laura arrived, and Mom is totally different with her. I get it now. I get why she treated me so cold and why I've never felt happy despite growing up in a wealthy family. Because I'd never belonged here. After the incident with the woman, I confronted Mom about it. "I get it. I know I'm not your real daughter, and that's why you think it's acceptable to treat me like garbage?" "Oh, please, stop with the dramatics." "Let me tell you this. Even if you did adopt me, I'm still gonna prove my efficiency to Dad and take over this company by myself." Mom was dumbfounded after hearing that. Then, not long after that, she turned up with Laura. That's why I didn't believe there was no coincidence. She brought Laura back to compete with me. And if that was true then, what do I have to be scared of? "How are my two girls? Skylar, are you still helping Laura with her studies?" "Yeah, Dad. She still helps me every day. Thank you so much." "Okay, that's great. When you move past the basics, I think you should take a few more extra courses. Do your best and try to follow your sister." There's no way she can be as good as me, not even in her wildest dream. "Laura is very smart, and she'll soon be up to speed. I'm also teaching her more about our family business." Huh? Is Mom going to teach her more to compete with me? I can obviously see her greed and competitiveness. But whatever. Laura and I are at two distinctly different levels anyway. I am an excellent student at the Columbia Business School, while she's just an uneducated nobody. Poof! Please! I have absolutely nothing to worry about. Mom kept forcing her to study, but... See? Speaking of Mom, she'd been acting weird lately. One minute she treats me like a stubborn stain she can't get rid of, then the next she's trying to set me up with some guy named Dean. He's the son of her super rich colleague. I don't understand why she suddenly feels the need to find me a boyfriend. And Dad wasn't helping the situation, as instead of telling Mom to stop playing matchmaker, he was encouraging her. Ugh. Okay, I just wanted them to quit bugging me, so in the end, I agreed to talk to this Dean guy. But now, He won't stop messaging me, and he's even shown up at the house. I suppose he is kinda handsome and nice, but he's not my type. So I just talked to him out of politeness. Until one time, I saw Laura sneaking a peek at Dean while he was waiting for me in the lobby. Wait. Don't tell me she likes Dean? Oh well, she's welcome to my leftovers. I don't like this guy anyway. Then one day, I was walking along the corridor when I received a text from Dean. Skylar, are you free tomorrow? Let's have dinner together. I was about to text back when I suddenly heard Mom and Laura arguing. What's wrong with you, Laura? Why are you secretly dating that jerk? Why not, Dean? He's a good guy. Besides, he told me that there's nothing going on between him and Skylar. So Dean is two-timing us? He snuck out on a date with Laura while flirting with me on the phone all day? What on earth? I tried to keep calm while continuing to listen. You're crazy. Stop this stupid secret dating game at once. What? Why is Mom insisting he's a good guy to me, but telling Laura the opposite? Well, Mom, which one is it? Is Dean a good match like you told me, or a jerk like you told Laura? He's rich, so keep on dating him and stop bothering me with your nonsense. Ugh, I wasn't born yesterday. There's definitely something wrong with this Dean. The very next day, I decided to go and follow Dean. Oh my gosh! What was he wearing? And why did he go to this slum? Then he gathered with a few other thugs. So, it's obvious, Dean definitely was a street guy. That's why Mom didn't let Laura get close to him. But why did she match him with me? Could that be a part of her plan to bring me down? Ha! Nice try! I'd had enough spying for one day, so I was about to leave. But then suddenly, I heard a familiar voice which startled me. I turned around, then... What? It's... Mom? How dare you ruin the plan! Mind your words. I did as you said. I told you to flirt with Skylar to distract her, not Laura. Don't think I'm paying you a nickel more. Fine, don't pay me. Just be sure to take me a picture of your husband's face when the real DNA result arrives in his inbox. You... Oh my God. Did I just hear it wrong? What DNA results? Could it be? I immediately went home and rushed into my dad's office to look for the DNA certificate that my mom gave him that day. Here it was! What should I do now? That's right, I had to take it to the hospital to have it checked. After pleading and putting pressure on the doctor, he finally admitted that he'd accepted a bribe from Dean to fake the test result. I asked for the original one and, believe it or not, Laura was not my dad's child. I immediately rushed home and showed my dad the original DNA results. He was so shocked, I had to help him sit down, then get him a glass of water. When he got over the initial shock, he asked me to call Laura and Mum in to confront them. But, oh no, Laura's room was empty. Only one letter was lying on the bed. Sorry, everyone. Dean told me the truth. Thank you all for taking care of me. Especially you, Skylar. I honestly enjoyed being around you. I think you're kind and patient. Please don't ever change. I don't belong in your world, so I can't stay. If we're predestined, we will meet again. Thank you, and sorry again. Love, Laura. Unbelievable! How could you lie to all of us about something like this? Knowing she couldn't wriggle out of this one, Mum replied, Okay, Laura isn't yours. I fell pregnant with her after we broke up. I didn't want you to throw me out, so I paid Dean to get a fake DNA certificate. Then I paid him again to date Skylar and distract her from her studies. This business should be Laura's, not hers. But that jerk went and fell for Laura instead. Poor Dad. He looked so heartbroken. Mom tried pleading with him to forgive her, but he told her the trust was broken. and that she had to leave. Everything's such a mess. Poor Dad shut himself away in his office, while me, I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling. I couldn't stop thinking about all of Mom's lies. And what for? Money? Fame? Status? Are all those things worth sacrificing dignity, honor, and trust for? I used to want to compete with Laura too, but now it turns out that all of that was just fleeting. Dad, I think I should leave too, because I'm not your biological daughter either. I've known for a while, but I've kept quiet as I was afraid that you would abandon me. Thank you for always being there for me. You're a good man, and you don't deserve all the pain you've been through. Then I told my dad all about how I found out I was adopted and how my mom paid my real mom to hand me over. Dad froze for a few seconds, then calmly said, "Skylar, honey, you'll always be my daughter, and I couldn't be prouder of you. Please, stay here with me." I couldn't hold back my tears. Did Dad really want me around? Even after all this crazy stuff? I really love my dad, but I couldn't upset him anymore. The next day, Dad and I went around to Laura's adoptive mom's house. I cleared the air with her and invited her to come back with us. She politely declined. Turns out she just wants a simple life. We still meet up sometimes, and we've actually become pretty good friends. Isn't it amazing? Because before that, we were like water and fire. The fact that I don't have to teach her Excel anymore probably helps. There are those who do whatever they can to win fame and fortune, but this often comes at a cost. Mom let greed turn her into a monster, and now she's paying for it. I don't like what she did, but she's still my mom. Well, my adoptive mom anyway. So I still send her subsidies and wish her happiness for the rest of her life. The truth is that I'd rather forego a huge fortune and live a quiet life than become someone I don't want to be. If it were you, would you do the same to live in peace?